Hello, my inky friends. Carol Maynard here from ohmyinkyfingers.com, bringing you another alternate project using the October 2017 paper pumpkin. So I've taken one of the card bases and I'm trying to figure out where to score so I can make a box. So it's already scored at the 4 1/4 mark because it is a card base. And what I've done is I've went ahead and I scored at a 3 1/4, and then um, there I scored at a 1/4 inch, and I'm trying to plan this as I go along. I have to work around the already score mark that's at the 4 1/4 because it is a card base. So now I've put it in and I've scored at 7 1/4, and then here I'm just cutting off 1/4 of an inch. It's only going to give me 1/4 of an inch to glue the box together, but it'll work out. And I'm also using my bone folder as I go along too, just kind of give it a dry fit, make sure it's looking okay. I'm just going to flip this around to the short side and put it in, get my cutter out of the way before I accidentally cut it where I don't want it to. And then I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch and 1 1/2 inches. I'm just going to flip it around and score at 1 inch, and that's the bottom of the box. And we'll get rid of the trimmer so that we can make our cut lines. Um, Now what I've done is I've sped this up a little bit, cutting all of the sections out that I don't need, and I'm cutting from the edge into the long score lines. So there's a big section right here that I don't need, and then I'm going to trim from the bottom up, and those will be the tabs for the bottom of the box. Now I'm going through here and I'm going to wedge all of the tabs so it gives it a nicer fit, and I believe I also wedged the top part of the lip that fits into the box. So I'm just going to burnish all my score lines with my bone folder, and then we will uh, glue the box together. That's the tab of the box. Yeah, and here's where I did notch out the tab. Okay, so I'm bringing in some liquid glue, and I'm just going to put some glue on the edge of the box. This is just the 1/4 of an inch, and apparently I really liked a lot of glue. Now it's all over the place. So I'm going to bring in the side of the box and just hold that for a little bit so it sets. It sets pretty quickly after I get all the glue off my fingers. The Tombow liquid glue is a pretty strong glue. I use that mostly for all of my box construction. You could also use Fast Fuse. That's another strong adhesive. I wouldn't suggest using the snail adhesive. I just don't find that's great for card making, but as far as box construction, I don't think that really would hold very good. Now here I did get a little on the outside, so I'm just taking an adhesive remover and running that along the edge there to remove any sticky residue that there might be. And then I just fold the bottom of the flaps in and tuck the top um, cover inside. It's a cute little box. I like it. I've just applied some liquid glue on the bottom of the box and just going to close that flat so it So it's nice. And then I thought maybe I'll bring in, oh, here's what I did. I took my bone folder just to kind of press that down to make sure that that was a good, strong, everything was pressed together nicely. And then I'm going to bring in a small, I believe it's a half-inch punch. Yeah, half-inch punch just for a thumb hole. And you only want to bring it in, just notch off a little tiny bit right there, and it gives you a small little thumb hole. And there's the box. I really like the way this one turned out. Okay, so now I'm trying to decide how to decorate this, and I brought in my layering squares. I have one of the large, I think it's the second largest scallop, and then I'm bringing in one of the squares that fit right inside. I also cut some snowflakes up there out of silver glimmer paper. I never did use those. I will put those on something else, but they didn't end up on this box. That is a strip of champagne foil paper. And here you can see I've brought my Big Shot in and I'm lining the squares up on some gold foil paper and running that through my Big Shot. I've used some washi tape to hold it down. I'm going to end up using that center square. Here you can see I'm using the little swirly thingies that come from the swirly snowflake thinlits. I don't know what it's called, but it's cute, and I thought it would be a nice accent on the box. So I'm able to actually cut two of them out of that little piece that was left. Never throw your foil paper away. You can always cut out something. Okay, so now we're going to try and fit some of this stuff together as soon as I pull this out of the Thinlit and pop out all the little extra pieces. I'm just bringing in my pokey. I don't know what that thing's called, but anyway. Ha, did you see my little swirly gig? It went flying. That's typical. Okay, so I brought in a sentiment from Snowflake Sentiments. That's a set that is in the holiday catalog. I would have used something from the paper pumpkin, but those were too big for where I needed it to fit. So I stamped this using cherry cobbler, and I will cut this out with the same size framelit that I needed to fit inside that gold frame that I made. So I brought in some Pool Party ink and I'm going to stamp some of the snowflakes that came with the paper pumpkin kit, and I am stamping it off once on a piece of scrap paper. I didn't want them quite as dark. I stamped a few of the larger snowflakes and then I stamped a few of the smaller snowflakes. Then I realized after I put this in the frame that I should have cut a bigger piece for in there. Well, right now I'm going to wrap around this belly band. It's 1-inch strip. I believe it's probably by 12 inches, and obviously you can see it's too big, so I did cut that down. And this is the champagne foil paper from the holiday catalog, and I'm just using a couple glue dots here to secure it to the other side. And then I just poked my bone folder in there so I could make sure that was a good strong fit. Okay, so here's where I realized that I probably should have made this sentiment a little bit bigger because I had nothing to glue it onto. It fit directly in the frame perfectly. So really I had no edges to glue it onto. So I just glued it onto another piece of paper, another piece of cardstock, and I trimmed it down so that there were some edges I could use to glue it on with. So I'm bringing in my liquid glue here, and I'm just going to glue the frame to that. At this point in time, my fingers were really sticky. This is when I brought in my adhesive remover to try and remove some of the stickiness. It just seems to be everywhere. So I'm repositioning the frame again because I didn't feel like it was on there just right. So now I'm happy with all of that, and I want to put these swirly things on, swirly gigs. I don't know what they're called. So I'm going to bring in some fast fuse, and I'm going to load the back of this thing up so it doesn't fall off my box. And this fast fuse is super sticky. So I'm just going to put that in the center of my box. And I didn't press it down real hard just yet because I want to tuck those little swirly gigs in underneath. So I'm going to tuck it one in under the corner of the bottom and one in the corner of the top. And once I get those positions where I want them, I'm going to press the entire sentiment down on top of the box. And I think I'm happy with it. I know I'm happy with it. I like the way it all turned out. I stuck my bone folder in there and pressed everything down very nice and firm. So there is the box that I made out of the card base. See, I'm still trying to figure out what to do with these snowflakes. They're just not going to work for this box. But there's the box, and there's a close-up of it. I hope you liked this alternative project. I thought it was fun to do, and I hopefully will come up with some more. Thanks for watching.